Welcome back to another episode of Next Gen IT. I'm your host, dsingley with MAPSYS. Today, I'd like to talk to you about ransomware and ransomware mitigation. If you're an IT business leader and you're not thinking about how to protect your business from ransomware, well, I think you should. This episode's for you. Unfortunately, my teams here at MAPSYS have had to deal with ransomware incident response several times over the years, and it's not fun for anyone. MAPSYS has ways we can help you both before an incident, yay, and also after an incident, maybe not so yay. It should come as no surprise to anyone who's ever seen this channel before that we love IBM Storage here. IBM Storage, flash systems, price performance leadership is tops in the industry. You couple that with advanced functions such as safeguarded flash copy, and we have ways to keep your business, well, in business during a ransomware attack. But that's for block-based data. What do we do for file-based data such as CIFS or NFS? Well, let me be the first to introduce you to Racktop Systems and their Brickstor SP product. Racktop's been in business for over 10 years, and the Brickstor SP is a software-defined NAS offering that runs on your favorite hypervisor or as a hardware appliance somewhere in your data center. And it goes great paired with IBM Storage. Brickstor SP brings a lot to the table, but the two things I want to highlight most are, number one, a theft deterrent feature. So think of an Edward Snowden type character trying to steal your data and sell it overseas. And number two, ransomware detection and prevention. Both are very important in your business and in the industry. But instead of me sitting here talking all about what this product is capable of, I want to introduce you to my colleague, Gage Hoffman, over at Racktop Systems to take us through a demo. I think the demo really speaks for itself on what the system is capable of doing. Gage is going to attack the system with malware, and he's going to try to steal from the system. And we're going to watch in real time as it reacts to these threats. Racktop Brickstor SP is priced right. It's about $500 per terabyte per year. So most often it's a very small outlay to keep your business, well, in business during one of these types of attacks. So with that said, I'll leave it up to Gage to take us through the demo, and we'll see how well the system reacts. I think you're going to love it. All right, Gage, it's up to you, buddy. Take it away. Outstanding. All right, well, as promised, I'm here. dsingley is here with Gage Hoffman of Racktop. So Gage is going to take us through the business benefits and a webinar demo of the Racktop appliance and how to use it. And he's going to do something I think very, very incredible. He's going to attack with ransomware his own software. And we're going to watch in real time as it defends itself. So Gage, are you ready for this?
I'm ready, man. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, hey, Gage, why don't you share your screen and take it away, and we'll kind of banter back and forth as you go through this.
Good deal. Let me go ahead and share this screen here. Can you see me?
Sure can.
All right. So what we're looking at here is our Brickstor SP Manager, right? This is the administrative console, the management UI that the system admin, security team, infrastructure team would use to control the file system and all the aspects of it. So you can see over here on the left-hand side of my screen, I've got my different shares, accounting, bank data, legal data, so on and so forth. Whatever unstructured files and data the organization is using, we create those into network shares. So then the end users would see what they're mostly used to, just Windows SMB file share here. And I'm actually authenticated into the network here, the Brickstor at 10/2/1972, with an administrative account, right? So I've got more privileges, more access than your typical user account, right? And when we think about a cyber attack, this is the first phase of a cyber attack, right? Knowing who's on the network, who's doing what. The bad guys will obtain these administrative credentials through one way or another to just browse the file system, to just scour, look for folders, files, valuable data to exfiltrate, encrypt, and steal, right? So I'm looking in payroll here, or think about this could just be an insider threat. Someone who works in the company already has these administrative credentials, and again, they are looking for files. Maybe they just got fired and they want to go delete a bunch of files, or they're just looking at sensitive company data. And I'm looking at payroll here. I can see I'm not getting paid as much as some of the other folks here. So maybe now I'm a little upset, right? Now I want to go delete, Cindy's files or whatever the case may be. But if you'll notice on our Brickstore Manager, we've got some unusual activity incidents already popping up just from an administrator opening a single Word document. So we can see here, we've got administrator access into the system. We can see who that user was because we tie in with Active Directory, and we can leverage users and groups from the existing Active Directory in the organization. I can see the IP address of my laptop here where I'm connected to the share. And we've got a timeline going on of when this incident was detected. Also keep in mind, all the administrators just got an email, Slack message, Teams message, webhook, however the team wants to be notified. That has been pushed out to the entire team. And we can see the data set that was affected. It was human resources here. And let's go ahead and take a look at what files were affected. We can see it was the payroll file. And actually, this was a temporary file because we see even all the funky stuff that Windows does behind the scenes. So now we've got a record of Ed Snowden in human resources touching payroll files. We can go to that user and say, hey, what are you doing? Why are you touching payroll? Why are you in the human resources directory? You shouldn't be in there. Well, maybe he comes back and says, I've been on vacation all week. I haven't even authenticated into the network. Well, now we know we've got administrative credentials that have been stolen, hijacked in some way or another, and we can take the necessary steps to clean up that user's PC, clean up passwords, Active Directory, everything we need to do to mitigate a cyber attack from occurring in the first place. So how are we seeing this type of behavior? Well, it's the user behavior capabilities built into the Brickstore here. We can see all the most active users on the entire file system, some of the most active paths that they're using. We got some nice visual charts so you can get a timeline of when your users and clients are hitting the files. And if I dig in here to these raw operations, we can see every operation that's happening in real time on the file system. So we can see where Ed Snowden opened that payroll document and where he opened the directory payroll and opened the human resources directory. Really every single raw operation that happens on the system, we see it since we control the SMB and NFS protocols here. Now this is a lot of data to be scrolling through. So we have a nice filtration system over here where I can really narrow down my search. So I can see, all the files that only Sally has maybe read in the past day or the past week or hour. However I want to consume this data, we can really filter it down, get very, very specific, and then we can export that data out to a PDF or CSV file, however you'd like to consume these reports.
So it's like a full operations log of every user then, huh?
Exactly. Down to the millisecond, really. As soon as users interact with files, we capture that, and we're able to react and alert the security team, the administrators of the system, and really give you a full picture of your entire file system right here at your fingertips. So with that capability, we can do some other pretty unique things here. I can go back into my human resources. I'm going to go into the finance folder now. I've got all these files sitting here, and I've actually got, a USB drive plugged into my laptop here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start exfiltrating this data off of the network, right? I'm going to steal this data because in today's world, it's not just ransomware and encrypting files anymore. Now it's really extortionware and data breaches and exfiltrations. The bad guys, they know that backups and recoveries are abundant and they're everywhere. And, now if I'm an organization and I say, you know what, I'm not going to pay your ransom, We're just going to, restore from a backup from last week and recover my data. I'm not going to pay you the Bitcoin that you're asking for, right? Well, now they just come back and say, well, we've got all your customers' data. We've got all the addresses and social security numbers and PPI information that we're just going to sell on the dark web if you don't pay us anyway now, right? So it's extortionware, and actually double extortionware, because then they'll go after the clients and customers of that organization and threaten them with the same thing. But if you'll notice, while I was copying the data off of the network to my PC here, we've hit a network error. If I want to try to run this operation again, it's not going to happen. This user has been totally severed from the network resources 10/2/1972. This user can no longer access the share whatsoever. And if you'll notice, we've got a red blinking security incident now on the Brickstor manager. Again, we all just got an email, Slack message, webhooks, whatever notification you'd like. We can see now we've got an excessive reads incident, right? Once again, who it was, where they came from, and we actually took a different action this time. We actually blocked that user from accessing the share, as you saw. And we can dig down and get a full blast radius of the files that were actually affected. So we know what they were able to get away with before we cut off their access and stopped that incident from occurring altogether.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, so this is, real-time prevention. This is, we're not just talking about recovering and restoring after an incident. You need to stop the incidents in real time and prevent a cyber attack from actually occurring.
Yeah, seems
So
like Ed Snowden was trying to do that
it
with this
was.
particular piece of software, that he'd be in jail right now instead of in Russia. So
Exactly. And that's the whole idea, right? That
sure.
was the main thought behind getting something like this going on is seeing incidents occur and actually taking the necessary actions to prevent it from occurring. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to acknowledge this incident now. And I'm in another administrator on the system. So when I acknowledge it and I say Gage is working this incident, you'll see it's actually acknowledged by my G. Hoffman administrative account.
Mm-hmm.
So even your administrators using the Brickstor manager are tracked and audited every step of the way here. So once again, we go back to Ed Snowden's desk and we say, what are you doing? Why are you reading this excessive amount of files from human resources? Are you supposed to be doing this? And maybe Ed, he's a good employee. He's a good administrator, and he was actually doing what he was supposed to be doing. He was doing a file migration, for example. Well, we've confirmed it was him actually doing this operation. And what we can do is we can restore his access for a temporary amount of time. So we can say, all right, Ed, I know you're doing a file migration. You can go ahead and continue doing this operation for the next 5 minutes or the next hour or the next day. And then we're going to put our security walls back in place, continue watching the system as we were before, but we were temporarily going to allow you to continue doing this. So we have lots of, we call them, security incident rules and exceptions that can be made. You can get very granular so that your security team and administrative team are not swamped with notifications and alerts all day. Eventually they become numb to such notifications. So we can really give you the granularity that you need to make sure these rules are just the way you need them. So we'll go ahead and say this was an attack recovery. We're going to lift the block on that user. Once again, we've done all the cleanup. We've changed passwords. We've done everything we do, or it was a real operation and we're allowing it to happen. And ultimately, we can close this incident out here. Now, the final piece, and I'll just show you here, after lifting the block on that user, once again, Ed is able to access the share and continue working just as he was before. All is well.
Okay.
So the last little piece of the demo I'd like to show off here is these two users accessing the Brickstor from via RDP, two separate RDPs accessing 10/2/1972, and they're both logged into the same exact directory, viewing the same exact video file. Now, think, critical infrastructure, think hospitals, Colonial Pipeline was a big example of this, but when an attack occurs, in legacy file systems, the first response was to run it to the data center and start pulling plugs, right? Pull the network, pull the power, shut down the attack. But when you do that, you're essentially shutting down the entire organization, right? Every user loses access. In a hospital situation, lives are at risk now because people can't access the data and critical infrastructure is down. So with the Brickstore, we really just isolate the affected user and the affected host machine where we detect such attacks coming from. So, oh, there we go. I lost my RDP session here. We'll give that a moment to come back up. Lost both my RDP sessions. There we go.
This is the curse of real-time demos, right?
Right, exactly. Let me log back in here. Apologies about that.
No worries at all. It's a good-looking brain there.
Exactly. Healthy, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Back in the system here. All right. So, in a lot of organizations today, they have, the first four pillars of security, right? Network, identity, device security, but all of those pieces of security can get thrown out the window as soon as one user clicks on that phishing email, right? Or one user goes to that URL that they weren't supposed to go to. So Sally, she's authenticated into the network. She's trusted by the Brickstore. She's allowed to do these operations, and she accidentally clicked on that phishing email. So a Ryuk ransomware virus has been embedded into her PC. It's now got full-fledged access into our network, into our file share. And you'll see when I go to kick off this attack, how quickly it'll start to move through the data, exfiltrating it first, and then encrypting it and locking it down. And as I do this, the attack is moving, running through files very, very quickly. And then we get a message here, the network is no longer available. If you'll notice, Sally's video has actually stopped playing, and her access into 10.2.19.2, again, has been totally severed from the network resources. But if you'll notice, Johnny over here, his video is still playing. He can still access the entire share, still access all his data that he needs. He doesn't even realize the system was just under attack from a ransomware virus. Again, if you'll notice on the Brickstore manager over here, 37 seconds ago, we've had a Ryuk ransomware incident. Again, we can see who it came from. It was Sally from this RDP address. And we took a couple additional actions here. We blocked that host IP, blocked the user from accessing the shares, and put a hold on the snapshots for the file recovery piece, which I'll show you right here. If we dig into our recovery screen, this is a bulk recovery, so we can do it quickly and easily, but I'll show the manual recovery so people can get an idea of what we're doing here. So the Brickstore is suggesting we need to restore this Q3 corporate finance file. Currently, it's not present in our active file share, but we did detect it in our file share at 9:16 a.m., just 1 minute before the incident had occurred. So all I need to do is hit the restore button. I want it to restore to its original location in the file system. And the Brickstore is actually going to reach into what we call rolling snapshots. They occur every minute. So every 60 seconds, we're taking a snapshot. We're holding on to a set number of those, so first in, first out. And when we detect an incident like that, we put a hold on those minute-by-minute snapshots. That gives you the ability to restore your files from the last known good point in time, which, as I mentioned, is less than a minute ago usually, right? There's no need to go digging into backups and trying to figure out when was the last, good known version of the file. Was it yesterday, a week ago, a month ago? The system tells us when the incident occurred, gives us the previous minute snapshot, and allows us to restore our files with just a button click, and our Q3 corporate finance is dropped back into our file system. Now, the Brickstore also says we need to remove the Q3 corporate finance.ryk file, the encrypted version of that file, which was last modified just 1 millisecond before we detected the incident. So all we simply need to do is come over here and delete that file. Now, you'll also notice there's a button here that says quarantine file. So as I mentioned before, we're looking for the user behavior transactions, the users reading, writing, modifying files. So when you think about a ransomware virus, they all do some flavor of encrypting, renaming, overwriting, deleting, so on and so forth. So we have a number of generic assessors built in that just watch for those actions occurring, and we can even stop zero-day, completely unknown ransomware attacks as well. The quarantine file button allows you to drop that file into a separate quarantine data set that you can pass up to law enforcement or FBI or Microsoft or whoever needs to examine these files for forensic reasons.
Good point. Yeah, that's a very important point. When you're attacked, you need to figure out who attacked you, and you need to preserve those files, right, Gage?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
A lot of states are coming, there are these new laws in many states where if you are attacked with some virus or cyber attack, you need to report that to law enforcement, to the FBI and again, they need to study these attacks. They need to know, if it was it a certain specific group, was it a specific kind of attack, and for zero-day attacks, unknown attacks, they even, need to examine those types of files. So we give that ability to hand these right off to law enforcement quickly and easily, but also you can bring your organization and company back online in a very quick amount of time.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So Gage and I, we do these demos with our customer set quite often, and we really drill down far into what the software is capable of. And this is just a quick taste. Gage, is there anything else that you can think of that would be interesting to show the folks here in our web demo today?
Yeah, so one other thing that I think a lot of organizations and companies really like to see from a NAS file system like this is compliance reports and all the built-in audit reports that we have ready access right at your fingertips. So when I right now we're looking at the access control, who's got permissions per share. So it prints out, every user who's got permissions on each one of my data sets or shares here. And all these reports are, again, exportable right out to a PDF file that you can pass up the chain. And we've got reports for everything from audits within the Brickstore manager to encryption on the system. If you're using a physical deployment, the hardware that's involved, snapshots, um, storage profile, storage utilization. I mean, we are really compliant with almost every type of report that may need to be accessed for most organizations. So that's another big key point that we like to point out to our potential clients and customers there.
Okay.
Um, beyond just the basic or the security features that I've shown off today, we've also got all the features of your NAS system that you would require, such as replication, snapshots, as I covered. We have a built-in key manager for encryption and controlling your encrypted data sets and so forth, and various other features and functionality that I won't dive into here, but we can definitely cover in the future if you'd like.
Sure, sure. Talk a little bit about how we deploy a Brickstore.
Yeah, uh, great point there. So since we're a software-defined NAS, we can be deployed in many different forms for almost any use case, right? So we can be deployed in the cloud using EC2 or Microsoft Azure. We just deploy as a virtual machine there, attach some virtual disk to us, and load your data on, and you're good to go. We can also be deployed physically in the data center with our own turnkey appliances that we offer, servers and enclosures and drives that we sell, or we can be deployed in a SAN gateway format, right? So if a client already has an existing, block storage such as HPE, IBM, Pure, really any block storage situation, we can connect to those disks via fiber channel or iSCSI and become a SAN gateway to the data, offering up this level of security over all that data there.
Yeah,
What
perfect.
else?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, MAPSYS, our preferred way, of course, is as most people know, IBM Storage, but
Yep.
this will work with just about anything you have. And the multiple times that we've deployed this with customers now, we've done it on VMware, which has been a very big success. Um, is that probably your most prevalent way of deploying, Gage? What do you think?
I would agree. Definitely VMware is a very popular deployment method for us for
Hmm.
some of our small to mid-sized businesses who don't have a lot of physical um, deployments or a data center available to them. Being able to deploy in the major hypervisors, VMware, as you mentioned, Hyper-V, KVM, Nutanix, AHV, really really flexible in the way we can set up the brick store there. In addition, we can also leverage S3 buckets. So obviously Amazon, and we're working with Cloudian moving forward, and MinIO. However you want to deploy an S3 bucket, we can connect to that and leverage that uh, access point as well.
Perfect. You also mentioned replication, right? So I can replicate between
Yep.
two brick stores offsite.
Bingo. Exactly. Just stand up another second brick store. We can peer the systems together, and you send your snapshots along, and that acts as a DR site. Um, Single file recovery, restore an entire folder or share a data set. So that's definitely one option for you.
Perfect. It seems like a very mature platform. I think you'd agree, Gage, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We're in our 23rd revision of code, so this thing is tried and true, and we have many happy customers today who are protecting their unstructured data and you know using the Brickstore SP platform.
Fantastic. Gage, as I understand it, there's a really interesting genesis of the whole company. Can you talk about how the company was founded and why?
Yeah, absolutely. So Racktop is going on about 15 years since we started the company. Our founders were two former U.S. intelligence officers. They were been working with data security and protecting the nation's data for the better part of their careers. And you mentioned it earlier when the Ed Snowden situation occurred. There was every really type of security available to that organization, and still a guy was able to walk out the front door with tons and tons of sensitive data and information. So
Mm.
that really sparked the idea of, well, why is there not a security platform just looking at unstructured data and user behavior transactions, right? And that was really the genesis of Racktop and the Brickstore. And since then, we've come a long way with a lot of the new features and security that we offer, and getting better and better every day. And just in the past 4 to 5 years, we started selling commercially to a lot of organizations in America and beyond. And since then, it's just getting better and better. So I love working at Racktop. It's an amazing organization, and love working with you guys at MAPSYS. You guys really are killing it.
Perfect, perfect. Yeah, we enjoy showing this software off to all of our customers, and a lot of folks find a lot of value in it. Pricing is great, the deployment options are great, and the capabilities are really unmatched in the industry today. Yeah, really slick for sure. Anything else we should mention before we sign off? What do you think, Gage?
I think we've pretty much covered it. If anyone wants a deeper tech dive and wants to see a demo, then feel free to hit up DJ and myself, and we'd love to walk you through this and show you the capabilities that we offer.
Outstanding, outstanding. I have one last question to
Yeah.
pepper you with here, Gage. Any name dropping you can do from some big customers of yours that you're able to talk about with us today, or is it all hush hush, clandestine? What do you think?
Yeah, well, yeah,
Mm.
that's a good question. We have, many healthcare organizations, some big healthcare organizations we've been working with recently, that have been very satisfied with the product. We sell a lot into the federal government, so that's all very hush hush, as you said. Three-letter agencies that I'm not allowed to talk about. Um, but it's really nice to see organizations, other security organizations that we work with as well, leverage our products. So we're a good, we're a good complementary software that goes along with a lot of other security features out there. And even other security companies that offer different products are leveraging our Brickstore to protect their environment as well. And that just, that says a lot and means a lot to us.
Perfect. Perfect. I love it. Yep, for sure. All right, Gage, thanks again for your time. For those of you out there that are excited about Brickstore and what it can do for you, I'm here to talk to you about it, and I'll bring Gage along with me. So thanks again, Gage, for your time. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you, DJ.
All right, we'll see you all next
Bye-bye.
time. Bye-bye.